enrich two-factor encrypted authorization and end-to-end encryption of data and code for HIPAA, CCPA, GDPR or any data regulations. BDR controls the Google two-factor authorization app and keys versus the less protective email or SMS two-factor authorization. With BDR you get true end-to-end encryption of data in an RDBMS or data lakes plus encryption of application code to protect the master encryption and two-factor keys. Phishing by hackers is inconsequential. One-day implementation. Spark 3.5 Java and Google technology. We will start out by logging in as the administrator. Just as with all users, the administrator is required to use the two-factor authorization app and code to enter the system. Now we are watching the administrator set up a new user of the BDR middleware end-to-end encryption application. At the end, the administrator clicks Generate Code that the user will need to get their two-factor authorization code and results to enter the BDR app along with their normal user ID and password. After a refresh we see that BDR encrypted the user two-factor code for added authentication protection. Here is a quick look at the BDR Google two-factor authorization interface. Now the new user Stephen enters his user ID and password to enters the end-to-end encryption migration, FHIR, CCPA, GDPR and general data regulatory app. When the user selects sign in, they are prompted to deliver a two-factor verification code from the BDR Google app. Now the user sees the current two-factor code, though this code will change every 30 seconds and every time a new key code is entered. Prior the user entered the administrator delivered key and we suggest this to happen at varied times to deter any types of hacking. The user enters their code and if successful as this one is, the user is now in the BDR app. Here is an example of the user attempting to log into the BDR middleware end-to-end encryption app with the wrong two-factor authorization code and is rejected from entering the application. Now the administrator will log in and as suggested earlier will change a user's key two-factor authorization code for added security and deterrence of hackers. Here we see the encrypted value of the current user's two-factor authorization key. Now the administrator requests a new code by clicking on the generate icon and a new code is generated. We now go to the secure database and refresh the data and see the encrypted value has changed for the user's two-factor authentication key. Here again we quickly see a new two-factor code since it over 30 seconds. Now the user must add the new secret two-factor authentication code in order to get a valid returned code to enter the BDR middleware application. After entering the new key, we see the returned authentication code has changed as we would have expected. Now the user is attempting to enter the BDR application once again and is prompted for the verification code and since the user entered the new master private key the new two-factor code was successfully accepted, and the user is back in the application. Since the user knew it was about 30 seconds, the user waits for the two-factor app to update the verification code then uses the newly generated code and successfully is back into the BDR middleware application. BDR is proud and excited to have added yet another security level to keep hackers out of the core middleware and near eliminating hackers from accessing sensitive data or decryption keys for the BDR middleware end-to-end encryption processes. BDR's end-to-end encryption GUI-initiated technology is your answer. 1. Securely delivers data. 2. Secured with levels of end-to-end encryption protection. 3. Two-factor authentication of user credentials including access by third-party software. 4. On-demand encrypted data downloads with an accompanying decryption module. 5. Fastest data migration in the market. 6. Data regulations, you are protected. BDR/AHP 847-440-4439. One application that encrypts customer personal data, private corporate data and application class codes. It will prevent hackers from reverse engineering security code to discover master keys or the location of private corporate information and assets. First, we install the complete Big Data Revealed application that satisfies government regulations for FHIR, HIPAA, CCPA, CPRA, GDPR and most any data regulatory requirements. As well as we see the class code is encrypted and non-reverse engineerable. First, we install the complete Big Data Revealed application and the FHIR server and database schema that satisfies government regulations for FHIR, HIPAA, CCPA, CPRA, GDPR and most any data regulatory requirements. As well as we will see the class code is encrypted and non-reverse engineerable. As the automated install with the Big Data Revealed interface processes, it will at times ask for the necessary configuration and credentials and what will be your hidden and protected master encrypted key for some processes to add layers of encrypted protection to thwart off hackers. We see all the big data revealed class code and properties, defaults and information is encrypted, and its master decryption keys are encrypted themselves and without access to the encrypted code of big data revealed as well as your own application's class code. Here we are drilling into additional class code to show it is encrypted. Now the hackers are just a nuisance stealing data and information that has no apparent or decryptable value from your company's information and metadata assets, nor will these classes be reverse engineered. Now let's execute a simple data migration process. We are migrating MySQL data to the Snowflake database. Here we set up the configurations, credentials, sources and targets. We see in Snowflake there are 4 tables at this time prior to adding a 5th from the MySQL database. We see the MySQL source data is not encrypted. We set up a big data revealed process to migrate MySQL to Snowflake as one example. We are selecting to discover email patterns and to encrypt the emails in the migration from MySQL to Snowflake. The use can select from hundreds to thousands of personal data patterns to encrypt. Now that the process is completed, we can view and review the metadata. Now as we view the Snowflake database, we see the new MySQL table has been migrated and the email value are encrypted as requested by the user. Also, this one process, Spark MPP process, never needed the use of S3 or any other database systems. Now we are viewing how a data scientist, analyst, ETL developer or others can query data from Snowflake or most any data source, select the tables and joins desired and a query will be created to be executed and then securely downloaded encrypted. The user selects the tables and columns they wish to work with and download for their use as long as they have proper credentials to do so.
Now that the query process is completed, we may review the metadata and results. At this point the user may also decide to export this data to their device of choice in an encrypted format and packaged with a secure application to decrypt the downloaded encrypted, secure data.
The user will be prompted to enter a zip password as well as a password necessary to execute the application that will decrypt the secured, encrypted data. After 3 unsuccessful attempts the process will need to be reprocessed. Here we are copying the zip file to a new working directory of our choice and attempting to open the zip file. Now after entering the correct password we can see the entire content of the zip file. We are now able to open and view only the encrypted downloaded data. Now the user clicks on the application to create an unencrypted data file by adding the user's earlier credentials and now has a view and access of the data for use by the user. We now open the new unencrypted file and see the values have been decrypted and usable, and you now saw the end-to-end secure process of protecting personal and/or all data. Here we are showing some of but not limited to the source files that big data revealed can process. Here we are showing some of but not limited to the target files that big data revealed can process. Here, we just want to confirm the source data from Snowflake as it is in MySQL still has encrypted emails. As will any intermediate or query storage of encrypted data will maintain its encryption of user-selected person. Additional validation, here is the actual query results stored in HDFS and as you can see, it is still encrypted as expected. Big data revealed feels and will argue there may never be a time that Russian hacker experts has reported cannot hack most any server in under 18 minutes and not far behind is China, North Korea, USA and many others. Since we must accept the fact that hackers will gain access to companies and individuals' devices, the only deterrent to keep hackers from taking their time hacking you, for it can take months to most likely years or lifetimes to decrypt AES-256 or stronger encrypted data and code, they will move on to another that has not secured their data and code with encryption. Why purchase, learn and entrust in numerous technologies for HIPAA, CCPA, CPRA, GDPR, general data protection and regulatory requirements and the allowing of third parties to gain illegitimate access to your data, that in most cases will create more openings for the hackers versus keep your data and code assets safe. Allow big data revealed as a new generation middleware like nothing the market has seen or witnessed before. Handle your data and class code protection, all in one application.